3 rings for elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in the halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his throne. In the land of Mordor where shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, and 1 ring to bring them all in the darkness bind them. Welcome everyone to Modern Escapism's Rings of Power spoiler special. Because we love this show, we want to talk about it, spoilerifically. And joining us for this is Stig.
Hello.
And Doodles.
Hello.
So before we get started, the biggest of big, huge, enormous, massive spoiler warnings. It's a spoiler special. If you're here at this point, you haven't watched The Rings of Power on Amazon, stop, go watch it. It's great. Trust me. But yeah, we are going to be going into the far end of the fart about the story, about the characters, about the reveals, about the things, and all the other bits and pieces. Yeah, that's how detailed it. We're getting down to bits and pieces level. That's how detailed it's going to be. So, have we just got the people who've watched it left? Last chance?
I ain't seen it
okay,
yet.
let's go. You ain't seen it yet? Okay, well, you're going to have a bit of a time here.
Just going to guess.
So, yes, as everyone should be aware if you're listening this far in, yes, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is Amazon's take on the Lord of the Rings saga, officially licensed from the Tolkien estate and working on writings that Tolkien had put down because I believe he actually had The Rings of Power pretty much already written in about 10,000 notebooks. And they've managed to pull all that out and create the story around it.
Edited a little bit by Christopher.
Yeah, he likes a bit of editing, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So the general premise of this, so it's set thousands of years before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. It begins during a time of relative peace and covers the major events of Middle-earth's Second Age, the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the fall of the island kingdom of Numenor, and the last alliance between elves and men. So, I think before we get started, what do we all think of it?
Shite.
Yeah?
No. It's fantastic. It's really good. It's better than cinema. That's the first thing. I can't believe how this show looks.
It looks great, doesn't it?
It boggles my mind that we've come to an age where television, because it is, even though it's on streaming platforms, it's still under the category of television. It's a show that it can look, sound, the acting, everything about it is just that good. It boggles my mind. Like, I love the MCU shows and stuff like that. This pisses all over any of that. Any of it.
Absolutely.
There's never been a television show that's looked this good ever. And if it doesn't win Golden Globes and Emmys and stuff like that, there's something wrong with the world.
Yep, I agree. It's brilliant. I've absolutely loved it. Literally every week in our Discord, I was pretty much like, I can't believe this is a TV show. It's like, I just genuinely
it's insane.
Can't believe how good and gorgeous this thing looks. It just
it's
does
a 10-hour
not.
film.
Yeah, it would not look out of place with any top level production film at all. It's just beautiful.
I think part of that is definitely down to Jeff Bezos has opened his wallet and put that Amazon money into it.
Oh yeah,
Dark Lord himself.
I think the reports is like each episode's like nearly $100 million per episode to make.
Yeah, we wanted to make a TV show based on his hero, didn't he, Sauron?
Yeah, his hero Morgoth.
Yeah,
the original.
The man that he styles his life, the man that he styles his business plan on.
Yeah.
No, he did say though. To be fair to Bezos, he did say his son said, "Don't fuck it up." His son's like a massive fan of the books and the films and everything, and he basically just said, "Do not fuck this up." So I think that was pretty much him telling him, "Put your money into it because you're gonna need to," and it shows.
Even just the visuals and the sound. Hats off to the writing department, the screenplay, everything about it. they had a task ahead of them to basically adapt the musings of a madman at this point in his life
Yeah.
into something cohesive and easier to digest than what the books and the notes and the ramblings lead at. Like, you've started reading the Silmarillion, haven't you, Gadget? It's incomprehensible in some points.
It's very chaotic. It's the Silmarillion. There are like interesting bits and pieces, and I know there is one kind of large narrative story in the middle of it.
Yes,
but the rest of it is just here's how the world's created. Here are what gods are. Here's what this person is, and all that kind of thing. It's just like a collection of his ramblings from his various notebooks. The difference
between like the Silmarillion and like the later stuff, the Children of Hurin, like what Christopher Tolkien has done, is editing basically. and what this show's done is it's used that mindscape of like, let's edit this down into more digestible chunks, and let's forget about the fact that Tolkien liked to spread everything across thousands of years, and just it's just easy. It's just easier.
You know, when you see these shows like that, or read these series, and you think, have none of you come along technology-wise?
Yeah.
They're all just, for thousands of years, they're just stuck in the same age.
Yes.
I've said this before on many things, but then again, the Industrial Revolution of our time is a freak accident, really, wasn't it? We got lucky, in a way.
Yes, very much so.
Without mathematics, we wouldn't have got anywhere.
But this show itself shows them like progressing with metals and alloys and things.
You got to remember,
finding new stuff out.
I'm not defending J.R.R. Tolkien at all with his millennia spanning stories, but half of these civilizations he creates destroy each other anyway, so it hasn't got time to progress.
Yeah. I think the delineation for each age tends to be an apocalypse.
Yes.
Like the war with Morgoth was an apocalypse for the world.
Humanity on Earth hasn't had that global apocalypse yet, and it will. It will happen.
Probably next week.
Yeah,
but still. So yeah, the show has quite a wide cast, which I guess that gets us into the first kind of the internet controversies of the program, because everybody was not happy about Arondir, were they?
I don't know why, because he's a fucking badass.
Like I know between us, you know, we're not the type of crowd to complain about that at all. You know, honestly, just grow up, get a life. Like, you aren't hating the show because of it's not accurate with its races. You're hating the show because as a black man or a black woman in predominant roles, just be true to yourself and just admit that that's the only reason that you hate on something.
It makes
just fuck
me
off. Let the rest of us enjoy it.
Yeah, it shows that these people haven't even read the source material as well, because there's plenty of people of colour in Tolkien's work. Yeah, don't get me wrong, they're usually baddies, but they're there. Do you know what I mean? There's Easterlings and stuff like that. There are people of colour. There is Asian-inspired cultures and African-inspired cultures and Caribbean-inspired cultures in that universe. You've got to remember that I'm definitely not defending the internet, but Middle Earth as a continent is a predominantly white.
It's based on Europe, isn't it? It's based on Middle, like, you know, olden age Europe, kind of where most people were white. But it doesn't bother me. It never has. Colorblind casting just doesn't. I don't care. Like, just if it's the right person for the job, fine.
I've never given two shits, and I know it's like nature versus nurture and stuff like that, but I just don't care. I don't care what people look like with anything.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that little bit of the conversation out quickly, just because there's so much to like in this, but everything was kind of overshadowed with this quote unquote internet controversy, because you had people kicking off about Arondir, people kicking off about Muriel, because God forbid there be a dark skinned woman being the Queen of Numenor.
Can't imagine.
And she didn't have a beard. Oh no.
And then there was Disa, Durin's wife.
That's it, Disa. Yeah.
Yeah. And then people kicking off about Lenny Henry playing Sadok, the Half-Foot Elder.
Yeah. Massively well-known character from the source material. Not.
Yeah.
It's just a character they made.
Yeah.
Is
So-
Arendir even a well-known character?
No.
No,
Exactly.
He's new for the
So
show.
if it's new for the
Tolkien
show,
barely named
what,
the elves, mate.
if
He
it's new for
barely
the show,
named
what
them.
what the fuck are you getting so bent up out of shape about? Just
They're fucking idiots.
he was class. He was great.
I really liked Darren Dean.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous
I
as well
really-
to look at. How can you not keep your eyes off
Very
him?
statuesque, wasn't he?
Yeah, stunning.
In the same way, I thought the actress who played Muriel was great. I really liked the character. Disa was fucking fantastic. One of the best character. Anytime she was on screen, your eyes were following
So
her
strong.
because
Such
she was
a strong,
so fucking good.
strong
Mm.
character.
I didn't so much care for Lenny Henry playing Sadok. I think that's mostly because it's a Brummy Irish accent is a weird thing to listen to.
They're Irish.
Yeah, but I didn't really like Sadok's character until maybe his last episode because then he actually had a character.
He seemed to be playing on the old farmer role from the book, from the original Lord of the Rings. I forgot his name, Farmer something.
Yeah,
They kind of skipped over him in the films where he was just this grumpy hobbit that played by the book and played by the rules and stuff like that. It's like a play on that, just this grumpy aged hobbit.
yeah, but yeah. So that's kind of all I want to talk about on the kind of the internet controversies, like
hate the
even to the
internet.
point like IMDb stopped people putting reviews on for 72 hours after the first episodes dropped, so that like the first reviews would be genuine reviews.
Like
Because
Ishmael
people are
Cordova
dickheads.
is stunning. How could you not want to watch him? How could you not
Yeah,
want to
no,
watch
he's-
him?
And it wasn't even like you could turn around and go, "Oh, well, he was just bad, wasn't he?" Like his acting
No,
was
he
bad
wasn't.
because
Yeah.
it wasn't. So you don't even have that to fall back on. Like it's just
He reminded
it's-
me of like a brash version of Legolas, like from that kind of elven school of soldier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he was a badass, and he had the elven stare, which is all you need to be an elf. You've got to be able to stare into the wind, and he knew how
honestly,
to do it. He did it well.
we've
you
had
got to be able to stare into the wind and look fantastic doing it.
Absolutely,
yes,
man.
yeah.
Great teeth, great cheekbones. Boom.
We know why it is. Same reason why Miss Marvel was review bombed. Same reason why She-Hulk was review bombed. We're not stupid. We know why it is. It's boring. Just fuck off.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it is worth saying that Morpeth Clark as Galadriel, she got a lot of shit from that same quote of people because
Can't
God
have a
forbid
strong
Galadriel's a warrior.
warrior woman. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, actually, that's going to lead me into the glowing praise because I want to start talking about Morpeth Clark as Galadriel because I thought she was fucking incredible.
Yeah, I loved her.
Insane.
It's
Insane.
great.
Weirdly looks so much like Kate Blanchett. There's a couple of moments quite early in the series where like they do that close up on her eyes thing, and her eyes look like it's her eyes that look like Kate Blanchett's. It caught me off guard a couple of times the first couple of episodes.
I just really like her intro as well when it shows them going over the different landscapes and like climbing up the mountains and showing how kick-ass she is. I think she fights a troll or something, doesn't she?
Yeah,
And it just from the outset it's just there to show like this woman is a warrior. She's gonna kick ass. Like deal with it.
It's a very different
Yes.
Galadriel, because Galadriel, like what we know from the source material and the film and stuff like that, is she's more of like an effervescent
Stoic.
witch and stoic, and she's tempted very easily. And in this, she's so young and like
I mean, young.
And-
She's still like 1,000 years old.
for an elf, that's baby,
True.
baby. And she's like headstrong, and she's so she's focused, which Galadriel just seemed like she was stoned all the time in the film.
Yeah, it's just annoyed me when people are saying, "Oh, that's not Galadriel." It's like, well, you're basing it off 3 films, which like that takes space over. Well, in the films, it's about a few
But
months.
18 months. 18 months.
It's supposed to be 25 years.
Whereas this is thousands of years ago. I'm a different person to who I was 10 years ago. Never mind that far back.
But
Like people
you
change
also-
and evolve.
You also only really get any time with Galadriel in Fellowship where you get that kind of that maybe 25-30 minute sequence when they're in Lothlorien.
Yeah.
And
You
she's
don't see much of her outside of that.
You've got to remember with elven lore as well, the older you get, the more powerful and wise you get. And by the point of the Lord of the Rings, she's 5,000 odd years old, so she's surpassed what a physical elf is. Like her corporeal form is just as powerful as a physical form. she's ascended.
Yeah.
She's, you know what I mean. She's
And
a higher
she's
being.
probably got to a point in her life where she's like, my main mission, which was to help bring Sauron down, is done. I can relax.
She thinks so, yeah, absolutely.
I don't have to be on my guard, on edge, traveling the world, bringing the evil down. Now I can. My job is done.
So, and she's also preparing to leave Middle Earth, like most of them.
Yeah,
yeah. So Galadriel's story throughout this entire series is she starts off the war against Morgoth has been won, but her brother I can't remember her brother's name actually. Fendir. Finrod, that's it.
Finrod.
Yeah, her brother Finrod dies fighting Sauron. Sauron is not killed during the battles. So Galadriel's entire reason for being is to find and destroy Sauron, to the point where she gets excoriated by the elves themselves and actually sent back to Valinor to say, because they're saying, no, Sauron's gone, he's not around, we haven't seen him for 1,000 years. You've been chasing after, you've been up, down, left, right, inside, outside of Middle Earth trying to find him, and you can't find him. Go back to Valinor, have a nice retirement. Of course, she naturally doesn't do that, and ends up back in. She jumps off the boat. She ends up back in She ends up in Numenor with a castaway called Halbrand, and starts causing all kinds of political issues.
I don't trust Halbrand.
She didn't have much of a plan jumping off that bloody boat, though, did she? In
No,
the middle of the ocean.
Jumped off it.
I'll jump off the ocean. I'll swim back the way I came.
An elf can swim an ocean, no problem. I mean, she'd climb the mountains of Angband and stuff. You know what I mean? She's a badass.
Yeah, but she can sit down when she's doing
that's
that.
true. And who knows what are in those grey waters?
Yeah. So yes, she encounters Halbrand, who becomes a little companion for her, who she believes to be the king of the Southlands,
AKA
is
Mordor.
Yeah. And the two of them strike up quite a nice little friendship as things go on. And
I think it's a bit more than friendship.
Oh yeah, they're clearly throwing eyes at each other.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, we might as well jump straight into it here. The nice big reveal towards the end that, of course, Halbrand is Sauron.
Yes.
Oh, what a surprise!
What a surprise!
It was him or the Meteor Man. That was like your two options,
Yeah.
really. And Sauron has been in one of his guises before. I do know that he's been described as a very beautiful and attractive-looking man. It's like, oh look,
Yes.
here's the very attractive-looking man who's front and center for nearly every episode. So
yes. It was still a satisfying reveal.
They did try to throw in a bait and switch with Adar, didn't they?
Yeah, because for about
Who
3
fucking
episodes,
looks like exactly what you think Sauron would look like.
Yeah, because I think most people, especially those people who've only come from watching the films, Sauron was described as a dark elf.
Yeah, which
so
he is.
when you've got Adar, this character walking around, who is a very corrupted looking elf, with a horde of orcs behind him, destroying the Southlands and turning it into Mordor, you think, "Fuck me, that must be Sauron."
Yeah, must
and
be.
you get this wonderful moment where he's kind of subjugated a certain amount of the of the men that live in the Southlands, and they just they go to, and we pray to you, Lord Sauron. He says, "I'm not Sauron." Well, we kneel to you, whoever you are.
He hates Sauron, doesn't he? Because it turns out he's an Uruk, which is a great new twist in this show. And I'll touch on a few things that they changed that I prefer. The fact that the Uruks are not creatures designed by Saruman, which they are supposed to be.
Well, on the Uruk High. Like the Uruk High are distinct from the Uruks.
Yeah. They're bred, aren't they? They're created from gloom and sludge and man flesh and elf flesh and stuff. But yeah, the Uruk it's like an ascended orc type thing, isn't it? And
yes,
it's such a clever way. Like Adar never lied about what he was. He didn't explain himself straight away, but he was a leader to these refugees. That's the best way to describe the orcs in that point. They were refugees, and it's kind of a sad tale because he wasn't being selfish in a weird way. He just wanted land. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
He wanted a place for the orcs to be able to live.
He did launch a nuke to get that land.
He did.
Well, they need to be in the dark. That's why.
Yeah. Clever, in my opinion.
He committed it was just a small genocide.
Yeah.
Just a small one. But before we get too much onto him, I do just kind of want to keep talking about the Sauron thing, because I really liked. So it was Charlie Vickers who played Halbrand.
Mm-hmm.
I liked his performance, and I like the clues that they put in there that he was not what he seemed. There's a sequence when they're in Numenor when he gets into a fight with some guildsmen, and it's a super quick thing, but he basically he wins the fight by he holds this one guy's wrist up against a wall and just puts a little bit of pressure on him, breaks his arm in the middle.
Yeah,
and like one that looked cool as fuck. And it was a nice, kind of more grown-up thing to happen in this thing. Because this is, I think it's a slightly higher rating than what Lord of the Rings
yeah,
films
definitely.
are.
15.
Yeah, but it's like, no man can do that. Like,
No.
that is one of the strongest bones in your body. You can't just hold it against a wall and push it. And
Even
break
like
it
a
that.
regular elf would struggle to do that.
Yeah, so that kind of that was a nice little hint. And as soon as I saw that, I went, oh, fuck me, he is Sauron. Pip didn't believe me at first.
It's a shame that I knew this straight away, and not because of his name and not because of how he acted and stuff like that. I just knew that Galadriel gets tricked, and what better way to trick someone than a gorgeous man from the sea? There's no better way, is there? And everything he was doing, he was like making it out that it was her idea. And that's exactly what Sauron does. He is the master of disguise. He doesn't have a true form at this point anymore. And
no,
I think it's the fact that when we will jump into the Meteor Man, the fact that they made him look like he crashed into a big glowing red eye is a great bait and switch as well. People like
nice
me
diversion.
know that he's an Ishtar, and that's how they do ascend into the world. They all do that. All the wizards do that, but so do the baddies as well. That's how Eru Iluvatar sends down his angels. So it was good. It's just I kind of wish I went in blinder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though
I
it
did.
did.
Yeah,
I don't know any of the lore outside of the films.
Don't get me wrong. Even if you do, it's different enough. I mean, majorly different.
I said though, I listen to things, and there's a few things I pick up from stuff, but I don't know like the wider lore. I just kind of know. So obviously, when the stranger crashes into the earth, it's all fire. It looks like a big fiery red eye.
Yeah.
The first thought you go through your mind is, oh, Sauron has been predicted to return.
Yep.
Somebody
Here
crashes to Earth. Here's a big red eye. It's clearly him.
Got control of fire.
But then there's little hints of when Nori and Poppy she touches the fire, and she's like, oh, it's cold.
Yeah, which is the thing that's been said about Sauron.
Yeah,
but isn't it the other way around that he's fire and Gandalf?
So without getting too nerdy, Sauron and Gandalf are similar things. Like Sauron's a Maiar, and Gandalf's an Ishtar, which are basically the same choir of angels. It's very hard to describe what they are, but they're very similar level beings.
Yeah,
they're both designed to balance the world. Darkness and light are not evil and good in that world. You know what I mean? Like sun and moon.
Yeah,
it's all Norse.
Yeah.
Norse. Like it's
everything
weird.
has to exist in a perfect balance.
Yeah, exactly. So Sauron and Morgoth started that trend by just pissing off Eru, who was the god, and just starting his own thing, like creating orcs and stuff like that, and just tipping the balance to darkness and stuff like that. And that's why they're very like Sauron. If you notice, even in the films, it doesn't even mention it, but Sauron always knows where Gandalf is, and Gandalf always knows where Sauron is. They are opposite sides to a coin, and that's how they can he could easily corrupt Saruman because they can speak the same language. You know what I mean? It's weird how it is, but I just think this show got that balance perfectly. It made me doubt myself. I thought the Meteor Man could have been a Balrog of Morgoth because that's also a Maiar as well. Because Balrog's the same as wizards as well.
I thought that too. I thought that too, just with the presentation of him.
Yeah,
I didn't think he was Sauron. And when they tried to do the bait and switch in the last episode with the Nomad and the Wanderer appearing towards
the
him,
ascetic,
and you are Lord Sauron. It's like, he's not.
He's not.
He's too nice.
But you can see
when they said that though, and I was a bit like,
yeah,
because I didn't want him to be Sauron, and then when they did that, I was like, oh no. I was like,
But the thing is, you can
not
see
him.
you can see why the Nomad and the Ascetic and those thought he was, because he is the same. He's one and the same. Why wouldn't they think that?
Yeah,
I did love his response to that when he's like, he's got the staff and there's magic swirling around him. He says, "You are the Lord Sauron." He says, "No, I am good," and just turns him into skeletons.
I wanted him to say, "No,
that was good.
I am redacted because we don't have the rights to Gandalf."
Well, they do have the rights. So
I got told they didn't.
No. So this has been made entirely with the Tolkien estate's blessing. And they like this. It's worth remembering that the Tolkien estate hates the films.
New Line Cinema films,
Yeah, they hate all 6 of those films because they do diverge a lot from the books. But they
stupidly more. The actual films diverge more than this show diverges.
Yeah.
They're so good. Not the Hobbit.
They are so stunning. Stunning pieces of art.
They are good. But it's also an interesting point when people are kicking off saying, "No, it's not the same as the films." It's like, well, the films aren't the same as the fucking books,
and different versions of the books aren't the same as the other versions of the books.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
It's Peter Jackson made some great films, but they are very different to what the books are.
He also made 3 bad films as well.
He also made 3 bad films, which I think that nearly finished off Christopher Tolkien. To be fair, those Hobbit films.
Yeah, because let's make this children's story into 3 epic movies. Strange man.
Yeah, so alongside Galadriel's tale, dealing with Halbrand and kind of traveling through Numenor down to the Southlands and back to Elendil.
Elendil,
that's it. I much I love these things, I always struggle with the place names.
And they go to Linden as well, don't they?
Yeah. So you have the elf story, which revolves around a young Elrond, played by Robert Armayo, who is also known for playing a young Ned Stark.
Yeah, he's great in this.
Oh yeah, he's...
yeah. He's absolutely brilliant as Elrond. He's got a slight little bit of that Hugo Weavingness to him. He's got enough of it to be recognisable.
I think he's a better Elrond than Hugo Weaving. You got to remember, Elrond is not an elf. He's a half elf, half human.
He's a half elf,
and Hugo Weaving plays him as just a big elf, just a big elf.
Yeah,
but I mean, they look nothing like each other, but they're not.
No,
they're not meant to. The thing is with this show is, it has to be its own thing, but also at the same time, kind of endear itself to fans of the films. So you get so many similarities in the ways that things look, but at the same time, the Balrog look exactly the same. The orcs look the same.
Mordor was identical.
Yeah, a lot of the locations match what Peter Jackson did.
Yeah, it's a lot of that stuff is going to be the same, but there's no point in looking at this and going, well, he doesn't look like Hugo Weaving, so it's stupid. It's his own thing. He's his own man. He's a lot younger. Like, it's fine.
But what
he
did
him.
better for me was his humanity side was a lot clearer. It was a lot in view for me, like his friendship with Durin and stuff.
Yeah, that was great. Some of the best scenes.
A normal elf, as we know, struggle to make friends. Look at Legolas and Gimli. They struggle.
Galadriel.
Yeah, they struggle to make friends with anyone that's not an elf, and because of Elrond's lineage, half elf, half human. He's got the best of both worlds. He's got the empathy, and he's also immortal.
Yeah. Yes, I really liked him as Elrond. So
I did.
The plot line that you have with the elves is
that's the politics, isn't it?
Well, that's the politics. Yeah. So Celebrimbor is building the greatest forge that Middle Earth has ever seen. But they need some help with it, so they want the dwarves involved. Because the dwarves know how to do stone, they know how to build shit. The dwarves can get shit done. So Elrond is friends with an old dwarf, Prince Durin, who will become King Durin IV.
The most famous dwarf of all time.
Yes. So Elrond is packed off to go and be an envoy. And turns out that he hasn't been that good a friend because, elves live a long time, and turns out 30 years to an elf is like last week.
No concept of
Durin
time.
is pissed off with them.
Yeah.
So we get a wonderful scene where he gets into Khazad-dûm, and he has to challenge Durin to a rock smashing contest.
He lets
which
him
is
win.
fucking brilliant.
He lets him win.
Oh, he does let him win. He
Hmm.
says, "What is it? I was winded by the end of it." or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
he clearly lets him win. The elf could fuck a dwarf up any time, even a half elf.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
as the story goes on with it, we get this beautiful friendship that is rekindled and reemerged through the meddling of Disa, Durin's wife, and the insistence that Elrond stays for dinner.
Mm.
And
if that not
it
had
is-
happened,
it-
I think the show, the course
none
of
of this
the
would have
story-
happened, would it?
Yeah, none of it would have happened.
So I love their relationship. I love this story because this is also when Durin discovers Mithril in the mountains of Khazad-dûm. And Mithril is you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Oodles, but Mithril is created from one of the Silmarils.
Yes.
And it obviously we know within legend that and within a lot of Tolkien stuff that Mithril is one of the strongest ores ever created. It saved Frodo from being killed by a cave troll.
It's
but-
so one of the elven lights. It's not from the Silmarils, but the lights that the Silmarils were inspired by. The elven lights made trees grow, and the sap from that tree creates Mithril over millennia.
Yeah, but this ore has the power to stop the elves that are in Middle Earth from it. It's a corruption on them, isn't it? Because they've been away from the light of Valinor for too long.
The light of Valinor is there. They need it. It's their vitamin D. Without that, they it's not that they'll just die. They'll just won't be immortal anymore. And to an elf, that's as good. That's it, innit? For a species that dies, a species that doesn't die of natural causes, that is death. Even if they say,
Yes.
"Oh, we're gonna die in another 100 years," oh, what we're gonna do? To us, we're like, "Oh, that's fantastic! 100 years, brilliant, bang up for it." But yeah, to an elf, that's just suicide.
Yeah, so that's the running story with them, and like I say, I absolutely love their relationship. I love the rekindling of the relationship. I love that Disa just interfered with everything, and Disa's the real power behind the throne.
But her interfering with something is clearly going to be his downfall.
Oh,
she
absolutely,
is
because
very much
she's
pushing
got-
him into
Digging deeper
Yeah.
and darker, where dreadful things lie.
yeah.
Because of course we do get that hint of the Balrog.
Yeah, and that Balrog's name is Durin's Bane. So
Yeah. We know the story.
Duh.
If you know the story, that's what they found in the deep. But it was very much pointed towards her saying, like, this is going to be all yours. Once he's gone, like, you're in charge. This is actually, she says, this is ours.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does.
It's not just
But
yours. It's
the thing
Well,
ours.
is,
she's
like,
just as aspirational as him.
yeah.
He has a little bit. Durin has a little bit of Sophie's choice. Do I doom this civilization to keep my civilization strong, or do I help a friend to keep his people alive and doom us all?
He doesn't know that he's going to doom them all, though, does he? He doesn't.
No, but he knows he's going to piss his dad off.
Yeah, the current king, his dad, he suspects that it's not worth it.
The thing is, what you got to remember with the backstory of the dwarfs as well. The race is older than elves, and a lot of people don't realize that in the lore. And they were created as a corruption. They are wrong. They were made wrong. They're too emotional. They're too greedy. And that's their big folly and their corruption. And that king is just synonymizes dwarfs. Like, this is ours. Who gives a fuck about anybody else? We're dwarfs. So and Durin, because of his friendship, he's got to break through that barrier, and I think that's one of my favorite aspects of the show. Their friendship.
Yes, I love you get the establishing shots when in the first episode when Elrond's led in, and you see Khazad-dûm as it was before it fell.
Yes.
Because you obviously see Khazad-dûm in Lord of the Rings, and you see it in The Hobbit as well. For some reason, even though it shouldn't be Khazad-dûm. And we've always ever seen it in disrepair, and you get to see this kind of vast underground city, and it looks fantastic. It looks amazing. They've done such a good work translating what we know about the place and building it up into something that looks like people live there and people work there.
Yeah,
I really liked seeing that aspect of it.
It's
and like that door that Elrond's constantly sitting on the outside of waiting to go in. That's where they come out after the fight with the Balrog in Fellowship.
It is, yeah. That's the main entrance, but it turned out to be the back entrance.
Right. Here's my little quibble with this. When they enter into that mountain in Lord of the Rings, Gimli seems very shocked by the scene.
He's never been. Gimli's from
How
Dale.
does he? Yeah, but how does he not know that place has fallen? It must have fallen years ago.
There's no Twitter.
Do you not think they have envoys going back and forth between?
No, but what
dwarves?
it is dwarves as a species, they have their own warrens.
It's
and
like,
they
my
just stay
cousin
there.
lives here or something. Like, surely
They have different kings for every mountain. So Gimli's from Dale, a son of Gloin, and we know that Dale gets fucked up by Smaug, don't we? And so obviously they're a bit tied up with their doings. Every dwarven mountain has its own king. That's the difference. So Moria to him is a different country.
It could also just be a random plot hole.
Yeah,
Could
I
be.
think it
It
is
doesn't make
because
sense. It could be.
if this is meant to technically take place thousands of years before Lord of the Rings, you'd have thought by now no, unless it's meant to be, I think he says it's his cousin, doesn't he?
Yeah.
They went.
it's his
Maybe
cousin
they
Balrog.
travelled there and they didn't know that the Balrog was there.
And Balor, we got to remember with Balor, he's a lot younger than this show. You know what I mean? He's only...
maybe they didn't know about. Maybe they didn't know about
Maybe.
it. Maybe they just went there to try and restart the city.
Yes, I was about to say maybe
yeah.
it did fall and they've tried to restart it. And it's all
Yeah.
up and running, but then the goblins turn up or something like that. You never know.
Balrog and that. Yeah.
I did see a really good headcanon out there that the door that they use in Fellowship, the one with Speak Friend and Enter,
Melloch.
was a secret door that Durin put there in the hope that Elrond would come back one day.
Yep, that's canon.
It's like a door for Elrond.
Yeah,
Is that canon? I thought that was just a bit of headcanon that I read online.
No, that's truth. That's the thing is because dwarves aren't, like I said, they're not friends with elves. So you want to hide something from other dwarves, use Elvish. it's that simple. Why not?
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's clever. I love that shit.
Yeah, their relationship is so good. There was I think one of my favorite scene might be when they're leaving Linden, and Durin has successfully convinced the Gilgalad, the Elven King, that he's using a sacred piece of stone as a table, and
It was just a
Elrond
joke.
effectively, Elrond effectively says to him, "That was a load of horseshit, wasn't it?" He says, Decius wanted a table for years.
Yeah, It's just a
Yeah, I
joke.
like that.
It's just, like he's caressing the table like, oh, it's in a lot of trouble. This stone. This, you know what I mean, it's so good. I like that they, for some reason, in the screen adaptations of these books, the dwarves are funny. They're funny.
Yeah, the dwarves are great.
They're funny fuckers.
They're not meant to be
I'm
though.
up-
are they?
No,
they're not meant to be.
No,
at
they're
all.
grumpy. They're grumpy little assholes. Greedy little
But
buggers.
I think, the thing is, when you read the books, though, they come off as like grumpy arseholes. It is actually quite funny to read it. They're not supposed to be funny. They're just
Yeah.
funny because they're
the flawed,
cantankerous little shits.
the flawed species. They're completely flawed, and a lot. Tolkien put a lot of. I know it sounds awful, but the dwarves were supposed to be the Germans. So what he called flawed individuals, like really good at what they do, but they're just flawed. The Jerrys. So you can see a lot of it. Industrious nation.
Yeah. But I also like that. Like again, the show is not the films, but they've taken a lot of the cues from the films, like having this kind of witty back and forth relationship between a dwarf and an elf. I really like that they've kept that in there.
Yeah, which is
Because that was
it's not
that was
a
a
thing.
pretty constant highlight. That was a constant highlight of the downtimes in the Peter Jackson films.
Yeah, especially
whenever
in
you had-
the uncut versions as well, when you get more
Yeah.
Gimli and Legolas.
Gimli and Legolas just kind of bantering on with each
But you've
other.
got to bear in mind,
because
Legolas is a fake character that they made for the films. Because obviously in the Fellowship, it's completely, the name's not fake. It's just how he's portrayed, basically. It's so fucking different.
Yeah, I really need to reread the original trilogy.
Oh,
It's so long, so
mate.
welcome.
It's getting to the second half of the book that takes too long.
True, very much so.
Just oof.
So the other main kind of there's kind of two other main plot lines that go with this. So the story of men and the story of the Half-Foots. I kind of think we'll go through the Half-Foots. I didn't like the Half-Foots as much as I like the other things. I didn't dislike them, but so the Half-Foots are supposedly the precursors to hobbits.
Proto-hobbits.
They are, proto-hobbits. They're a nomadic species of people. Very little. They are afraid of everything. They exist to move between living space to living space. in line with the stars and in line with the migrations of other species, so they don't get bothered.
And this is it
eaten.
shows you how the hobbits have evolved from that, because they're not ones for adventures, are they? Those little hobbits.
No.
They don't like adventures.
I mean, these ones aren't for adventures either.
No.
And they're also quite brutal because when they start their migration, they have this chant where if you're left behind, if you fall behind,
You're stuck.
they don't come back for you. They just fucking let you die.
Yep. Like lemmings.
Brutal. But the main characters we follow here are Nori, Brandyfoot, and Poppy Proudfellow, who happen upon the stranger who falls from the sky in a big comet meteor thing.
Yeah.
And the Harfoots themselves are untrustworthy, naturally speaking, of the large man that has appeared who doesn't speak any common language.
I think he's abnormally
and is a
tall
bit
even
magical.
for a human. Because
I mean,
if
you
he's
don't
supposed
see-
to be Gandalf, Gandalf's tall as fuck. So
Not true, yeah. Well, yes, it's very much cool that he's Gandalf. The very last line of the show is
Yeah.
following your nose.
Yeah.
It is literally
I
the
mean,
line from Moria.
I feel
Gandalf.
like they made him look a bit like Gandalf to start with. Anyway, the
Yeah, they did.
brown ragged robes,
yeah,
it's just his appearance just screams that this isn't
definitely
going to
Gandalf
be
the Grey.
the Dark Lord that takes over the land. This is going to be the fun, wisecracking,
Obsessed
wizard.
with fireworks.
Yeah, who also has a relationship with the hobbits. Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I- The main reason I didn't like the Harfoots story, and it's not that I disliked it, it's just I didn't like it as much as the other things, was the Harfoots themselves felt to me a little bit forced, especially their reticence towards, I don't want to say adventure, but they are so risk averse that it gets borderline annoying, because you have Nori, who is written in a way where she is trying to pull away. She's yearning for adventure. She's a young Harfoot. She wants to go and do things. She wants to see more of the world than they know. And the other Harfoots are basically constantly, no, you don't do that. No, you don't do that. No, you don't do that. And it gets to a point where they carried that on for far too many episodes for it to be understandable. It's just like, just fucking, if she wants to go, just let her wander off.
Yeah. The thing is, like, with the Harfoots, it's like, a lot of people keep arguing with me with this. They are hobbits. They're a different type of hobbits, like the river folk, like what Smeagol was. They are different breeds of hobbit. And I think this show's making it out to be they are the first of the breed of hobbits. And with that comes, they have to show their bumbling side to it. And it's just a bit tedious, isn't it?
It's also very much a choice to make them bumbling Irish oafs.
Yeah. It's just a bit tedious when we know that they are of sturdier stuff. They are made of stronger stuff, hobbits. They can do wondrous things. They can save the world. And I don't know. It just seems like it's gone back on itself a little bit. I know it's thousands of years in the past, but I don't know. I mean, Nori has a little bit of a redemption at the end of this. She's like, do you know what? I will go on an adventure. And I do like that about that. I'm glad that.
well, they all of them stand up to the Wanderers, don't they?
They
at
do.
the
Yeah,
end.
Yeah.
Like,
but it takes some to die to get to that point, or burn their caravan down to get to that.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I get what they were trying to get across, but
I don't think they nailed it.
That's one of the weakest aspects for me. Just this tribe of Harfoots, which again are hobbits.
Yeah. I felt sorry
Come at me,
for
internet.
Poppy at the end though, because she's
I did.
clearly like she's lost a family at some point, and now she's lost her best friend. It's like, great. Now what do I do? Like,
But don't you think it was too close to the Samwise Gamgee parallel?
Absolutely gender swapped Sam and Frodo.
Yep. It's too much for me. It's too much for me to be like, it's happened again. Do you know what I mean? And I get it. You've got to do it. You've got to have this aspect to it. You've got to see that, because what the Harfoots are to us, it's our proxy to see the world from a different angle, isn't it? How dangerous it is. And you got to remember, they're from Mordor. That's where the Southlands.
Yeah, they're from the Southlands. They're not from Mordor.
Yeah, obviously that's just a renaming of the Scorched Southlands. But yeah, that's
which I will point out, when they do that is the fucking stupidest moment in the show.
it was so shit that.
When Adar's sitting there thinking, I think we need to change the name.
Do you know what I thought they were going to do?
And you get the Southlands appears on screen and just burns off to Mordor.
You know what I thought they were going to do?
Such a cheesy
when
thing.
he did that Mordor, I thought they were going to go, and we shall name it Mount Doom. I was like, fucking hell. Because, Jesus Christ. I mean, it doesn't make sense that they've called it Mordor, because the elves name it Mordor. It's their language that names it Mordor. That's not its name.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he is still an elf.
Kind of, yeah. If you want it, yeah. You could go away with saying that Adar is kind of an elf and he speaks Elvish.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I don't give a shit. I know that for stuff that I've sometimes when I watch things that miss out the lore and stuff, I'm like,
yeah,
and I get it.
That's why it's there.
It's not really like that much of an issue that this character who technically is elvish would say Mordor. Like, it's just the way it was done was a bit shit. It would have been better if they wanted to do it like that. It would have been better to do it on the map, because they'd been using the map to show where we were throughout the series. So why didn't they burn it out on the map?
They had a really well rendered CGI map for like the first 3 episodes, I think.
And then they stopped using it.
At any given time. Then they stopped using it. It would have been great if they just panned over the Southlands on the map and then it just burnt off to say Mordor.
Yeah, I would have preferred that. Like a flame coming from underneath it, and then Mordor underneath. That'd have been so badass.
I know we're gonna talk about the Southlands people. Well, we'll talk about the Southland people now, because I really wanted to talk about that episode where it becomes Mount Doom. That whole episode is absolutely incredible from start to finish. That is just that's where again I was just like, how is this a TV show? This looks better than so many films. Like, it just looked incredible. From the fighting to that horse chase through the forest.
Oh God!
The cinematography on that was absolutely
none of it was CGI.
It's so good.
Oh, stunning.
Even the mountain blowing up. They blew a proper mountain up for that.
Yeah, a real mountain. Italy's fucked now.
Actually, I will say, no one would survive that.
No one would survive it.
Covering them over in that ash kind of annoyed me a little bit, because
there's no oxygen.
There's that, and also it burns at God knows how many degrees. Yeah. It would just eviscerate everybody. Everyone would boil.
Look at Pompeii, guys. Look at Pompeii. We've seen it happen.
If they'd have had it further away and then the ash kind of start to spread over them,
yes,
fair point. But to have the big, massive ash cloud just ramp over
we don't know what the elements are in Middle Earth.
Yeah, okay.
Fire might burn at a lesser degree.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Pratt managed to survive it in Jurassic World, so if he can, then anyone can.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love the whole sequence of Waldreg kind of like opening the mechanism that opens this dam that was under the watchtower.
Clever that, because that's just completely made up. Fucking clever.
Yeah, but having all the water come down and then it flowing through all the channels that the orcs have kind of been digging out of,
which we didn't know what they were doing.
No, they just had people. They had people and slaves kind of digging. They didn't really say what they were digging for. And then all this water go into this cave, hit the lava, and then the pressure goes up, and Mount Doom explodes.
Yeah.
Or rather, becomes Mount Doom, because it was just a mountain beforehand.
It's just a mountain.
I love that whole sequence. I loved that. I mean, I loved that entire episode, but I love that sequence, and I love the starting sequence of the next episode where people are reacting to this. They're trying to find. It was really harrowing, the opening of episode 7.
Yeah, it was.
You've got people who are wounded. You've got people trying to find Isildur goes missing. He's not killed, because we know Isildur's not killed.
Yes.
Muriel is blinded.
Yeah, do you know what? It reminded me of? It reminded me of scenes after like Omaha Beach, and you know what I mean. Those war films when everything's
like the Walking Wounded.
Yeah, when it's happened and everything, people picking their arms up and stuff like that. It reminds me of those kind of scenes.
I like the color of it, like the red hue over everything. Like
and there was that scene where they walked out of the red hue, didn't they? It's so good. But I didn't know she was blind, and Isildur's dad, I forgot his name. He's like, she's like, are we nearly out? And he just knew straight away, didn't he? Elendil, that's it. He just knew straight away. He's like, when did you lose your sight and stuff? It's like, fuck, what a dad, top dad award.
Yeah, I love and just with the previous episode with the battles, I love that episode felt like it had all of the tension.
The Orc
Like
Siege.
all of the tension in the series had been ramping up to there. The Orc Siege itself was great. I loved how the Southlanders kind of defended themselves.
Yeah.
But then when the Númenóreans arrive, and you've got Galadriel riding, just hanging off the side of a horse, like chopping nerds in half. That was fucking incredible.
I like the trick as well, where they thought, God, we've killed so many orcs. No, you haven't. You haven't killed any orcs. You've killed your own men. That bit.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
So fucking clever. Like, Adar is a fucking great baddie. I'm glad they invented him.
Oh, but how? I mean, we've even the lead up to that, where the orcs all kind of go towards the town, and there's no one there, and then Arondir like traps them all in and collapses the tower, and that was great as well.
Yeah, that was great.
That was like properly, go on, he's doing all that himself. It was great.
Yeah, some nice elven acrobatics to get away from the collapsing tower as well.
Yeah,
was that
Legolas
tower supposed to be like Minas Morgul or one of the towers in Mordor? The ones at the gate, at the Black Gate, something like that. It looks like it.
It's like Osti something or other. Life me can't remember where the name is. I
Ostilia.
literally just had it in front of
Is it that?
Ostilia, that's it.
Yeah, that's so good because that becomes like the last bastion for men to stop things coming out of Mordor, and it's just cool how it's all linked.
Yeah,
Osgiliath.
No, because Osgiliath.
That's the town, isn't it?
Something else.
That's the town.
That's the town.
God, there's so many weird names, but yeah,
I know that's the problem.
Too many characters, too many place names. You'll never get them right. Don't
it's
worry.
Like, in the lore, like even though like it's now Mordor, men still reside there, and like the people of like the rangers and stuff start protecting it and stuff like that. Oh, it's just so fucking good.
Yeah,
I fucking love that shit. I love that you can see things before it's actually become what it is.
Osterith. That's
it.
Yeah.
Which
Thanks,
becomes
Google.
a key point. Cheers, Google. Yeah. Cheers, mate.
It was where Wikipedia told me that one. Yeah, but yeah, I keep wanting to say Osgiliath as well, but Jesus
that's the
Christ,
town, isn't it?
That's the town outside of Minas Tirith.
Minas Tirith, yeah.
Fuck you, Tolkien, and your names, man.
Just call it fucking, like, I don't know, fucking Manchester. Something easier.
Well, speaking of Manchester, I fucking hate Theo. That little fucking mank little shit, the Bronwyn's son. I hated him.
I liked Bronwyn.
Yeah, I like
Bronwyn was great. She was mint. But fucking Theo, what a little annoying
Did you ever have an inkling at one
was.
point that maybe Theo becomes Sauron?
I did. I thought, you're just enough of a cunt for that to happen.
He's going to be Sauron, him.
I think that was another bait and switch when he picked up that hilt, and it started to form in his hand, and it's like, oh, hang on, like it was kind of leading me, and I think many people, to think that Sauron didn't know he was Sauron.
Yes.
And he'd come back and he'd taken the form of something else, but it was something needed to happen to awaken his memories or awaken who he actually is. And it was doing those things with like the stranger having no memory of what he was, and then Theo picking that up, and it's like, oh, it could be him. And then they did the same with Adar, like leading you to think it was him. Like there was all these hints that it could be him, it could be him, it could be him, and that's obviously spawned all the memes of like, that's Sauron, that's Sauron, that's Sauron.
Yeah.
That's what it made me think, like, because at first I thought he could be Sauron, and then I'm like, hang on, like the inner nerd of me saying, Sauron uses a mace. That's not his weapon. So I knew it couldn't have been just like a sword or something like that. And then it turned out to be a key, didn't it? I'm like, that's fucking cool. That's cool. Because Sauron ain't using no sword. He's not a sword guy. He's got
he's a barbarian.
He's a big barbarian. He's got a fucking mace on a chain. He's
I like those barbarians.
Yeah, he's a fucking nut.
You too.
When you're 7'5", why not? Do you know what I mean?
Why not? So yeah, the Southlanders story was it was interesting because I guess with it only been having maybe 2 episodes to really establish it all, everything seemed to be compressed. But they started off very much hating the elves, blaming the elves for Morgoth, and the war that happened beforehand.
You got to remember though, the Southlanders were kin of Morgoth. They sided with him, didn't they? They bowed to him.
Some of them did.
Yeah, and that's what they were trying to say. Like the Southlanders, like descendants
Idiots.
from those people that sided with the wrong side, but they were still just following orders. You know what I mean? To save themselves. It's like it's a nice nuance to a people that, I mean, no longer to people that watch the films exist anymore. There's no such thing as Southlanders anymore. It's not a thing. I think it's quite clever.
Yeah, it made a lot of those kind of early sequences with Arondir, which I guess was the point. It made them feel very awkward and very standoffish.
Yes.
Because there's kind of this element of undercurrent racism towards elves.
Yeah. I mean, there always has been. It's one of the things that it's played upon in this universe anyway. Like, but it's usually the elves being racist rather than the other way around. They don't like anybody.
But I do like that, like, as things go on, especially kind of after the battle, that they really do hail Arondir as a hero, because he is.
Yeah.
Like what he puts himself through and what he does for. I mean, he ultimately does it because him and Bronwyn are in love, but you know.
Yeah, he's doing it. He's doing it for a shag. I mean, that's caused many a war, hasn't it? Send men into battle, Helen of Troy, all that. It's a known thing.
So the last faction of people that we have are the Númenóreans.
Yeah, which did it even allude to? I don't know if they did in the show, the fact that they're not human.
No, they allude to the fact that they have the gifts of the elves.
Yes, they long lives.
What I was surprised at is that they didn't allude to in any of the preview stuff that the Númenor was in play.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't expect to go.
It was a real surprise when they got there. Like, they showed the city, but in the trailers
could have been anything, couldn't it?
Yeah, that made it look like it was the Elven city.
Yeah. Which, again, for those that don't know, the Númenóreans, they was gifted the island of Númenor by helping defeat Morgoth, and they was given extended life. Not to the elves quantity, but
they weren't immortal. But
this
like
is why
Aragorn
was 250 years old when he died, because he's a descendant from Númenóreans.
Yeah,
that's why.
Isildur's there, isn't he?
Isildur's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's got a long life.
I very much enjoyed the introduction to the city. I love that opening quote. I loved it when they were on the boats, and then it goes through and you just see these wide kind of camera shots of the city, and it looks incredible.
I don't know.
And I just love the look and design of Númenor.
I don't know how they envisioned the city to look that good, because we've only got like paintings and sketches of the city to go on. It's not a real place, and they nailed it. And they made.
I think it's based on kind of a lot of Greek cities, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to.
No. The actual physical look of it is.
It's
Greek,
Mediterranean.
Greek Mediterranean cities.
It's a warm island, but I liked how on this, unlike some of the descriptions in the text, that it's an actual country. It's an island that's bigger than the city. You know what I mean? There are places to go, but I always thought
over to the west side.
Yeah, well, I always thought when reading the text that it's just an island city, which made no sense to me. How can that be an ecosystem? Just a city island doesn't work.
I quite like as well. Like, you guys might know, but I don't. So don't really want this spoiling. But I know there's a fall of Númenor. I know that's a thing. But we see her having a vision of it being wiped out.
Yes.
But we see.
And how does she get that vision? Using the Palantir.
Palantir, yeah. But we also it wasn't just that. It's like, is that a vision? But it was also alluding to the fact that maybe the fall is down to internal politics and civil war as well. Like, there's all that kind of bubbling underneath.
Yeah,
like,
which is accurate. So the Fall of Númenor is the actual book for the Fall of Númenor is out like next week.
Yes.
It's another one of these ones that Tolkien's had in his notes and all that. And it's written about in the Silmarillion
and the Children of Hurin.
And the Children of Hurin. The Fall of Númenor is basically the first age is the fall of man.
Yes,
which is when you get the war with Morgoth, which was when men side with a great evil.
They get corrupted.
The fall of Númenor is the second fall of man, which is man's hubris.
All the ages are men.
Yeah.
The third age is when man survives and wins, and the fourth age, we don't know.
So, Númenor is going to fall regardless.
Yeah,
it will.
We know.
What? Yeah.
But, like, the show
won't tell you why, but it's very good.
But the show doesn't give you like it's leading you in different. Again, it's leading you in different directions. Like, and the is it Palantir?
Yes.
That's clearly what's underneath that robe.
Well, that was gifted to the Númenóreans by.
I know, but it's not even
like
what could be under there? It's like, what could that spherical thing be underneath that drape thing?
In this age, there are many palantiri. There is a few seeing
7,
stones is what palantir mean. Yeah, that's what they're called, seeing stones. And at this point in the age, it's not like Sauron can see you. It's just a communications device, or like it predicts what a possible future could be and stuff like that. It's magic, don't get me wrong, but it's not evil like you see it in Lord of the Rings, where because Sauron's got one, you don't want to be on the other side of one. Trust me, because he knows what you're doing then. So it was a gift, and obviously clearly squandered it. So
yeah, it's also worth remembering as well that when Saruman pulls out the Palantir in Fellowship, Gandalf explicitly says not all of them have been found.
Yes.
One of them is definitely at the bottom of the sea where Numenor falls.
Yeah. And most of them Sauron's got, so yeah.
So
just a telephone, basically.
The Numenorians are portrayed as, some of them are portrayed as kind of quite helpful or quite nice. They're all kind of generally portrayed as disliking the elves, to the fact that Elendil, who is Isildur's father, ultimately his bloodline goes down to Aragorn. Elendil means friend of the elves, and he is pilloried for that one, despite him being a very decorated military officer.
Yep. It's funny how they show the Numenorians in this, where they've got sects.
They show them as general bastards.
They've got them in guilds, haven't they, as well? Which is, it shows there's a structure to them. Like you're born into this guild, or you're born into that guild, or you've got to earn the rights. And they're a seafaring race, aren't they? Like the sea is their bread and butter. And
they're an island. So.
They are bastards. They are just arrogant bastards. You can see why a civilization would fall for that reason alone. Never mind cataclysm.
Yeah. Especially when you get the likes of like Farazun, who's the advisor to the Queen Regent. He's a dick.
Yeah,
he's an absolute dick. Him and his son fucking plotting around. Oh, we have to get rid of the elf, or the elf can't be allowed to leave, or whatever.
It's mad, like, isn't it, that this island was gifted to them by the elves?
Yeah, they've got very short memories of it, despite their long lives.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we ate them. Why? They're just sneaky, aren't they? They're sneaky fuckers. No real reason. State them.
Yeah. You have Isildur, played by Maxim Baldry, who was training to be... He starts the show training to be a sailor.
Yeah, sailor soldier.
Yeah. And he does the Jon Snow thing. He don't want it. He just wants to, like, chill out, go on a gap year, do artistic things.
Write poetry.
And you see, I love this sequence. You see this great sequence when he's on one of the ships and he kind of deliberately fucks it up and almost gets his mate killed as a result of it.
I do love that they've stuck with Isildur being a goof, because he was only luck that made him kill Sauron in the first place.
Oh yeah, he was knocked over and just
he's not a good warrior, and his arrogance led to his ultimate demise as well. I like that they've kept Isildur being this goof. It's fucking brilliant. Big into it.
Yeah, I love the design of their armor. I love the design of the ships. Just all the people of Numenor are dicks, but I love everything that they make.
They've made them look Mediterranean as well.
Yes,
and
the Numenor stuff also had the other cringe scene, which I didn't like, which was Galadriel's horse riding when she's off to the archives.
Yeah,
just grinning like an idiot on the back of this white horse.
Yay! It's like that scene in Neverending Story when he first rides Falkor. Yay! He just got his hands in the air. It's like that. I love horses. Best of all the animals.
Such a strange turn of tone for that.
I think it was supposed to show you that she is still an elf, and nature they are one with nature. She's not just this battle-hardened commando.
Oh yeah, I get that, and it just. Maybe you could have cut it. You didn't need it.
Yeah, Peter Jackson would have cut it.
He would have cut it and put in 3 helicopter shots.
Yeah, he would have done.
So yes, I mean that's kind of the main runs of the story. Other stuff that I quite liked. I really liked how Celebrimbor was played. Charles Edwards did a really good job playing him.
Very different Celebrimbor, but a good Celebrimbor. A Celebrimbor of, like, the reason he's the world's greatest smith, and they gave him that pathos and that wiseness to him. Like, even the king listened to him and stuff like. Do you know what I mean? He was great renown as an elf there from the beginning, since the elves were put on Arda itself. Older as time it is, and I really liked him, and he wasn't as arrogant as you'd expect the greatest smith to be in the world.
No, he was quite humble and open to ideas when he was stuck on things. Like, when Halbrand / Sauron gives him the idea, oh, well, why don't you take Mithril and just fuse it with other metals and make more. Why don't you
tease it with another metal rather than force it?
It's like he knows. Which is weird. It's like he knows what to do, isn't it? But he can't. He doesn't have the means or the skill to do it, but he kind of knows what needs to be done. And it's that point as well where he's getting so excited about it and everything.
He's revealing himself, isn't he?
Yeah, he's full on revealing himself here. Some things before we even find out, before she even finds out with the scrolls, you're looking at going, hang on, he's getting way into this. Like, there's something up here.
Like, law masters know that Sauron and Celebrimbor create the rings. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And how they did it in this is completely different, but in my head it's better. I think it's better.
It's better because it's described as like Celebrimbor makes the rings and Sauron is disguised as his assistant.
Yeah, which is beautiful elven assistant.
God, his name is such a bloody mouthful though. Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor, yeah. Celebrimbor.
Actually, I don't think we really discussed it before. When we get the reveal from Halbrand that he's Sauron, did you notice that the actor did the Superman thing?
Yeah.
He stood up a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
Shoulders back. Almost like shoulders back, and he just like looked that much more intimidating.
Yeah, his whole presence like just changed. Yeah,
and like you get. Galadriel goes to try and stab him, and he's like, "It no bother for him to stop her."
Yeah,
just holds her.
Couldn't have done it in the first place. It's what makes me feel like the injuries he took, he did it deliberately to look weak.
Of course he did.
Yeah, that sequence where he's kind of trying to tempt her as well. It's just so well done. I loved that shot of them stood on the raft, and it turns upside down, and in the reflection you see him in his armor and her as his queen.
Yeah.
She thought about it for a split second. She thought,
which
would be great.
Which is consistent with Galadriel because again, when you get to the Fellowship, and she says, "I would take the ring. I would be a benevolent, beautiful, and terrible ruler."
Yeah, not the ruler of darkness, the ruler of light.
Yeah,
which is again tipping the scales the wrong way.
Yeah, she is very much tempted in that brief moment.
Yeah,
I also like how you transit like that entire sequence effectively in Galadriel's mind. It's brilliant because it happens with like a proper smash cut because it's almost like he puts his hand on her face and throws it to the ground, and then we're back in Valinor.
Yeah,
and he's disguised as a brother, and it's so fucking good. And it twists and it turns and it moves around, and you get the scene of her kind of almost drowning effectively, but it's not really drowning; it's like drowning in her own thoughts. Yeah, and then I love that whole because it was. I think it would have been cheaper if it was just like, you're Sauron. Yes, I'm Sauron. I'm going to run. And that kind of thing. And it was like a chase sequence. It was much better to have that, him showing her his power.
Yeah. If it just gone, no, I am Sauron, it'd be like,
do you know what I thought was going to happen when that reveal and after that little dream sequence as well? I thought she was going to go back to the forge and he's going to be there. And I thought, I honestly, in my head, she's going to go, do it anyway. I thought she'd been corrupted. I thought that's because Galadriel herself has always been a guilt character, a character that's like, I could have done more. Even in Lord of the Rings films, I could have done more. Why didn't we stop the necromancer there and then?
Yeah,
but instead we cast him into Mordor again. We've always just casting Sauron aside.
Can you guys help explain something to me a little bit more? Because I couldn't. Maybe it's just me being a bit silly. I was not picking this up right.
Yeah.
So I understand that they want the mithril. They need that. It's like a life force for them to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how is that tiny scrap and these 3 rings going to allow them to do that?
You've got to remember that the jewels on those rings are also a mimicry of the light as well.
So they're trying to tap into a different energy.
An energy from Valinor. So the great torches or bulbs or lanterns or trees, whatever you want to call them, however you want, whichever artwork you look at, they're always slightly different. The lights of Alan are what give the elves their life force. And like in the first stage, before Morgoth destroyed the light and stuff, with a giant spider, by the way, before they destroyed that, that's why Valinor is it's kind of like heaven. It's paradise, and these jewels or Silmarils or anything that's like a mimicry of that, it still gives them that essence. So these rings are just amplified. Like if a ruler's wearing one, you only have to be in the presence of them existing. It stops corruption. It stops trees from dying.
I thought that was kind of
that's
like,
all it is.
That's what it was hinting at, but it's bouncing around, getting so excited about stuff that it didn't really kind of explain.
I mean,
it
as
all.
we know in the lore, you've seen Lord of the Rings film. Mithril becomes quite a known quantity by the Third Age. It's not rare.
Yeah, because they go and mine it all, don't they?
That's because Durin takes fucking tons of it
All
out
of
before he happens upon a Balrog.
To the point where even a hobbit can wear a mithril vest. Do you know what I mean? It's not. That's why elves can live on for a long, long time.
Yeah.
In
But
Middle Earth.
I really liked the forging of the rings. Watching that and how they did
Yeah,
that,
stunning.
Really cool
really good sequence. The music was brilliant. It finished with these being kind of forged, and it got your goosebump, and you're like, oh yes. And then it cuts to Halbrand, and then he's like outside Mordor, and we see the shine. It goes to his eye, and we see like the volcano in his eye. And I liked the way it ended.
I do like that the series ended with a man literally walking to Mordor.
Yeah. Which is how the saga ends. It's good that we know that he's now going to go forge, and he knows how to forge, and what we need to do. What we like the second series, we need to start making more rings, basically.
Well, so the way I see the second series going is, so the elves will put on the rings, and the elves then will realize that Sauron has put his evil into it, and they will try their best to hide the rings. Yeah, Sauron will consolidate his forces, and that's when he'll attack the elves, and he'll get the rings back. He uses them rings to make the rings for the dwarves and men.
I can see that happening. I see it happening in a different way. I think that they'll turn around and say, These rings are fantastic, so we make some for you guys. I think it'll be that way, and
it could be, but either way, Sauron needs to get the rings back.
Yeah, but Sauron is the one that it has to be Sauron because he corrupts. If the elves make the rings, and how does he corrupt them? That's
the One Ring.
No, but the One Ring he's put his corruption in those rings. He gives them to them, and then he uses his ring to control theirs.
Yeah, I suppose they're the catalyst, aren't they? They're the start of even if he's putting a tiny bit into the other, because the other races are not as strong anyway. It takes 10 pence to corrupt a man. You know what I mean? You don't need anything to really get them to be
5p to corrupt you.
Exactly, mate. It's easy. The dwarves, they're gonna. I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna get to the point where, like, Moria's fucked. So any help they're gonna take they're gonna be like, yeah, okay, we'll have these rings. And man, again, easy to corrupt.
I also think they might just throw in some of their own stuff in there.
Yeah, I hope they do.
They might just make some of their own storylines
for me that knows.
Yeah. There's one thing we haven't touched on just before we start to wrap things up. The 3 zealots that go and look for the stranger who think he's Sauron.
That's the weirdest part of this show.
When he kills them, in inverted brackets, are they dead? I don't know. Like, it seems like they are.
They look. Don't know. They're new.
They look like
mate.
They look like Nazgul.
They do. But they also look like the spirits of the dead kings. You know. From
like they're clearly not, because the Nazgul are the 9 corrupted men, aren't they? But it's the way that maybe this was this could just be an early version of them. That
I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
I don't know what they are.
Yeah, they are brand new.
I think they'll play into
it
it more. I don't think you can have these characters with that power, that ambition to serve Sauron, to just sack them off in their first fight.
First I thought they were going to be the Blue Wizards that come first before Gandalf. I thought, these are going to be the Blue Wizards.
There was people thought. Remember the original image of one of them, the Dweller, the one with the short blonde hair.
Yeah,
and a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's Sauron." Like, why have they made Sauron look like Eminem? And then when she appeared, it's like, oh, it's actually a woman. and it's
That's
not Sauron.
why
Yeah.
that's how he was described in the book, as like a beautiful androgynous elf. So
But
that's
again,
why.
especially in the teaser, when she appeared on screen, it's like, well, it's clearly not because it's a woman.
Yeah.
But in the teasers and all in the shots we saw, it was very much like, oh, could that be Sauron? They just threw so many different options at you. It was...
I mean, they messed
there
you
was
up
a lot
because
going on.
Sauron's guise, his form was Anadar, not Halbrand. So they completely changed that anyway, which
Yeah.
made me think that can't be Sauron.
I mean, I even
he's got his
thought
own
that
brand new
bloody
name.
there was, remember like episode 1 or 2 with the Harfoots. There's a bit where you see a wolf, and I know that he's been a wolf before. And I was like, well,
Yes.
is that
Yeah, yes.
is he in his wolf form? And it's like,
Yeah. It's,
I think
crazy.
every single episode has had like a Sauron misdirected.
Yeah. I'm glad they got there
It-
though.
it's-
I'm glad they didn't stretch that out, and it's like, right, we know who he is. This is where we're going now.
Yeah.
See, what I'm hoping for kind of going forward is that I'm hoping it's maybe 4 seasons long.
It's 5.
Because is it 5? Is it? Oh,
It's expensive.
yeah, it's expensive. Because the way I was expecting it to go is like you get the next season would be the rings being created.
Yeah.
And then the world being enslaved. And I reckon the next season will have a downer ending. A very much with Sauron being like at full power.
It depends how they do it, because in the text, the world wasn't enslaved when men were corrupted. They were just corrupted, and they didn't really do anything. They were just spied upon. Do you know what I mean? That's what the corruption was. So it kind of has control. Like, they don't become Nazgul until they die. Do you know what I mean?
It's going to bring everything like quicker together. That even the showrunners and the producer and everyone said, they literally said, we are condensing thousands of years of history into the series, because if we didn't, then we would have to replace everyone but the elves every season, because everyone else doesn't have the long life to take you through the whole age.
Yeah. It has to end with the last alliance between men and elves. It has to.
Yeah, the last. Well, what I was
Which is
getting at.
what Lord of the Rings starts.
Yeah, I hope the final season is essentially the war.
Yeah, it will be
the big
war.
war,
And the final,
the War of the Ring.
I mean, I think, I don't think we'll get. I don't know. Will we?
What?
I don't know how they end it, because we know from the beginning of Lord of the Rings that Isildur kills Sauron. He takes the ring. He refuses to throw it into the.
Yeah.
Do you end the series on such a downer?
Yeah.
I think you end the series on Gollum finding the ring. On Smeagol finding the ring.
Oh, and it's Andy Serkis back out of retirement.
Well, it's more because they've.
Yeah, because we know where that goes. Yeah, that's a good. That's
You mean,
that's
you mean
idea.
Deagle finding the ring?
Deagle, that's it. Yeah.
It's my birthday.
Because it has also been said that they have options to do spin-off series from this. Ultimately, I hope they don't end up doing spin-offs. Just, I think this series is pretty good as it is. I think, much as I joked earlier about it being like a Gollum spin-off that they could do, I kind of really hope they don't. That would be a really fucking dull series to watch.
Oh, it would do. Like, I do
The
wonder whether
Tales of Smeagol.
Yeah, I do wonder whether they dare do Lord of the Rings again if they got the rights. But I think it's tied behind movie studios, that isn't it? So
yeah, I think New Line own that.
Oh, they absolutely
think-
own that.
Yeah. I also think if they tried to, I think the internet would go into some kind of Spitalfield fervor.
yeah, but
Not
how
my
long do you leave it?
Frodo.
How long do you leave it before you redo these massive
I
stories?
mean, you can't do the Lord of the Rings first. We are doing the Hobbit before it.
I guess. I mean, if they
redo the Hobbit. You could do that.
Redo
do
the
redo the
yeah.
Hobbit.
They could do that in one episode. That's how short the book is.
You could. I mean, realistically, if they wanted to put the proper time into everything, you could do the Hobbit as a mini series and then do a series each for each of the Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah, I don't think they will though. But
No.
I mean, the numbers are there. People are watching it. They're closing on 100 million viewers on this, which is massive. But
Nearly as much as our podcast. Nearly.
Nearly.
You'll get there soon, Bezos.
Yeah. Come on, mate.
So yeah, I guess we'll just start getting towards wrapping it up here. What's everyone's kind of final thoughts on it?
I want them to continue to surprise long-time fans. I want them to subvert my expectations enough to keep me invested. Because when it first started, I was like, oh, is this going to be a retell? Because the first episode's quite by the book. Apart from the stuff with Galadriel in the tombs and stuff like that, that's pretty new. But I'm glad it makes me want to watch it more. It's the same when I watch The Boys as well, because when you read the books and stuff, or MCU stuff, when it changes it up, that excites me. It doesn't send me into a nerd rage. I'm allowed to sit here and say, that's different, but it doesn't necessarily mean bad different. I'm allowed to point that out, and it gives me more water cooler moments, if you get me. So I hope they do that. I hope they don't rush it. They've got plenty of time, plenty of scope, plenty of money to keep this going in a nice solid trajectory. And keep Isildur as a goof. I love it.
Yeah, I just love this from the start. And I know the first episode is quite exposition heavy. It's just dumped on you, and then we kind of get into it all. But it just looks stunning from the get go, and I love like epic high fantasy stuff. So more of that, and I just loved it. Really did.
It makes the Wheel of Time look pathetic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just made me. It made me feel like the films make me feel. Like it's as good as it's not as good as them, like because the
you grew up with them.
Yeah, but the language and the script that they use in those films is taken from the books, whereas this is trying to ape Tolkien's words. When sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. But it's making me feel like that. It's making me feel like I'm in that world.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree.
For me, it gives me that sense of wonder that I got when I first watched the Lord of the Rings films. Like, because I hadn't read the books before I saw the films.
This is what I mean. I'm jealous of you guys. I'm jealous of people that go into these things new. I read these books when I was a fucking child. I didn't understand.
I mean, I've read a lot of the extra lore stuff now, and there's bits and pieces I was picking up on, but not to the level you have.
Pisses me off that I was such a nerd as a kid.
Yeah. You're still a nerd now.
I'm not. I'm a cool guy.
It just gives me this wonderful sense of wonder that you don't get with a lot of fantasy stuff these days. A lot of because I think because Tolkien was the progenitor for all the stuff that we take. We take for granted, elves, orcs, that kind of thing. That's all Tolkien. So when you get it and it's done this well, you appreciate it. Like I like the different take on Galadriel. I like how Elrond's played. I love the dwarves. I love the look of the show. I love how high quality it is. I love the amount of practical effects that are still in there. There's a fuck ton of CGI hidden in there, but there are a lot of practical effects, a lot of real things. The makeup on the orcs is fucking brilliant. I think it's really good. I think it's like a 9 out of 10 for me. There's some, like I said, little niggly bits that miss the mark for me. But overall, I think it's one of the best things that's been on TV. And, this has been airing at the same time as House of the Dragon as well. So we've got two really different but very interesting high fantasy shows going at the same time. We're fucking spoiled.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Love it.
So, we'll wrap this up. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for... Oh, we're putting these out for everyone as well, aren't we? So, you don't have to be a patron to listen to this. You'll just, if you're a patron, you'll listen to it a little bit earlier. So thank you for listening to this. If you enjoy this and you want early access to these spoiler specials that come out, I think we're going to try and do a few more of these because there's a lot of good shit coming out that we want to talk about in detail.
Yeah, we've done a lot of Marvel ones as well. We haven't managed to do the last few just because of time, but we've got Marvel stuff on there. We've got Elden Ring spoiler casts. We've got so we're doing for games, for TVs, for movies.
I think we'll probably end up having a God of War spoiler cast at some point, won't we?
We have to, don't we?
Yeah. We all need to talk about our beardy daddy.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this. Check out the rest of the podcast. Check out Do Dragons Dream of Scorched, Deep Dive Lounge. We've got a new podcast coming soon, which is Smash Like Glass. So, there's loads of stuff here to listen to on the network. And if you're a patron, you get it all early and ad-free. What more could you want?
Don't forget, people.
Or extended.
Don't forget. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. But not our patron. Tell everyone.
Yeah, tell everyone about the patron. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
From shadow you came. To shadow I bid you return.
He is not Sauron. He is the other beast. He is...
I'm good.